Line starting here in France. And for that, I'm joined by Florence Villeminot.
Hi, Molly.
Hello there. So, all right, we're going to talk politics, all things politics here in France. What do we got?
That's right. Well, we've got the first cabinet meeting after this week's government reshuffle. The first cabinet meeting that's going to be hosted by the new Prime Minister, Manuel Valls. Now, he is about to hit the ground running, and Le Figaro, the right-leaning paper, says he has his work cut out for him. Today, they talk about les chantiers à haut risque de Manuel Valls, though likening the work ahead for him to a high-risk construction site. And in fact, inside Le Figaro likens him to Hercules. He has 12 high-risk labors ahead. So what are they? Well, they're pretty broad, wide-ranging. First of all, the most important challenges regard the economy. He has to inverse the unemployment curve, give some muscle to this responsibility pact, this deal with business owners to cut labor costs in an effort to boost employment. And he has to give clear details about just how the government is going to make good on that pledge to cut spending by 50 billion euros. He also has other challenges, political challenges. He has to find a healthy balance with the president, François Hollande. They're known to not be the best of friends, but they do have to work together. And he has to rally the left around him because there are very important European elections coming up in May, and he has to make sure that all the left support him.
Well, Flo, clearly we're also seeing that what's old is new again in the French government. And that, of course, is the return of Ségolène Royal. A lot of papers focusing on her political comeback.
That's right. She's ecology minister. What's interesting is that she was ecology minister 22 years ago, exactly. So Rue 89 takes a look at her track record, her degree of greenness. And you can see her here in her little green electric car. She's been zooming around Paris. And what's her track record been like over the last 22 years? Well, Rue 89 says it's pretty good. The Green Party would actually probably approve of it. Basically, she wants to bring real change to France's behavior and not systematically put production first.
All right, well, let's look a little bit then now at the international press, and we're seeing, of course, attention turning to tomorrow's presidential elections in Afghanistan.
That's right. It's getting a lot of attention across the world. I started out by pulling out the Wall Street Journal on their front page. It talks about how Afghanistan is determined to get the ballot boxes through, taking no chances. And you can see here a photo of these ballot boxes being ferried by donkey across Afghanistan, and they're very closely guarded there by a soldier with a weapon there. Now, the International New York Times focuses on what's going to happen to the outgoing president, Hamid Karzai, and it says, after the vote, Karzai isn't going to fade away. Even though he'll be out of office, he's likely to retain influences in the new Afghan administration.
Well, Afghanistan is just one of several countries that will be voting this month. What else do you have for us?
Well, The Guardian says that April will be the most democratic month the world has ever seen. It's talking about a combined electorate of 1 billion people, so 1 in 7 people across the world are going to be voting in April. 6 countries are holding elections. So who's voting? Well, you've got Afghanistan, of course, India, Indonesia, Hungary, Algeria, and Iraq. And this useful chart here in The Guardian, well, it shows just what the challenges are and actually compares the different countries according to how free and fair these elections are actually going to be.
All right, well, then let's focus a bit on these elections that are going to take place in India.
That's right. Well, as you can imagine, it's getting a lot of attention in the Indian press. I pulled out an interesting article from The Hindu talking about how election fever is really at its fullest right now. And it's talking about how all sorts of electronic election-based games have popped up on people's smartphones during this election season. So what is this about? Well, they feature candidates going through different obstacle courses, playing cricket, etc. They've been a huge hit in India. And this article in the Hindu points out that actually, depending on which candidate you choose, well, it could maybe be some sort of a poll. This is what the game developers say, at least. Their games are a good way to perhaps get a preview of how the election is actually going to play out.
All right. Well, finally, we're running out of time, but let's look at The Independent, because they're focusing a bit on a certain extinction, if you will, in the UK. What is it?
That's right. These are names. Certain names are becoming extinct. You've got Gertrude and Bertha for girls' names, and boys' names. Willie, this one really surprised me, Cecil and Roland. Basically, these names were not given to babies in 2012. Now, Ancestry.co.uk has compared online record to online records to compare the popularity of names over time, and it's found out that certain names are becoming extinct or are endangered. But it says, don't worry, extinct names can be resurrected.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, Florence Villemino with a look at today's press. Thank you very much for that. It's time now for a sports update. We